Good evening, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm Asmi Chen, and it's truly an honor to serve as today's program coordinator. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this FDP on practical aspects of ICT tools and online teaching in current scenario, where we have the privilege of learning from the immensely knowledgeable Dr. Krunal Soni, sir. This event has been thoughtfully organized by the Research Foundation of India in collaboration with Shodh Malwa, Pyle University Gujarat, Ekla University, JHRF, ARGA, and Edu Academic Inc. Now, let me introduce our today's session expert. Dr. Krunal Soni is an Associate Professor of Finance and Accounting at the School of Management, GSFC University. He's having a total of 10 years of experience in academics and 2.5 years of industrial experience. Source qualifications include a BB and MB in finance, Gujarat Set in management, a PhD in management, a diploma in foreign exchange and risk management, a postgraduate diploma in research and methodology, and a BCom. So is having a total of 26 publications in various reputable journals like the Scopus, ABDC, UGC Care, Web of Science, etc., including a patent in Government of India. So has also received three Best Research Paper Awards in various international conferences. So was also a PhD guide since 2022 in the Veer Narmad South Gujarat University. With this, I now invite Sir to begin today's session and share his insights with us. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Right, right. Thank you, madam. Please confirm the screen sharing.
Sir, it's visible.
Right, thank you. Okay, so good evening, all. So today, the topic for the discussion is ICT and effective presentation skills. So in this today's era, where technology has taken significant place, and it has emerged the dilemma of using the technology in all the fields. It increased like anything. So without which, in today's time, we cannot even think ourselves without the technology, and that's where the role of technology is going to be very important. And that is where we are not forced to use it, but we are abide to use it. And when we are saying that we are abide to use it, because it is a need of an hour. And when we are saying that it is a need of an hour, because it is the beneficial to the society as a whole, and that is where we need to adopt it. And even the world has gone beyond ICT. The subversion of ICT has taken a place at everywhere, and we all are well versed about the term which is called artificial intelligence. you know so this is what, the constant improvement, constant innovation which is taking place in the market. And most importantly, we being a faculty, we being an academician, needs to learn those tools and technologies very effectively and significantly. And we cannot avoid those tools, because our credentiality, our efficiency, and most importantly, the acceptance power of the students, when we are getting compared with our subordinates, and when we are getting compared with our competitors. So students always have some ifs and buts for the comparison that they are making. So it is very important that we should adopt this ICT tool, which stands for Information Communication and Technological Tool. And then when we are saying this, information, communication, and technology, so these three functions are integrated with each other. For an example, if we are getting some information from the market, you know, so only getting information is not going to suffice the purpose for which we are taking those information. But at the same time, when we are getting those information, we also have to digest those information. We also have to commute those information, and that is where we have to have some meaningful outcomes, some meaningful interpretation out of the information that we are getting it, right? So the communication skills needs to be developed. Even though we know the things, even though we know have a lot of data, we have a lot of things to share, but if we don't know where, how, and why to share those things. So I think the purpose of getting communication The purpose of getting influence on the target audience is not going to suffice, right? So that is where it is going to play an important role. And when we are saying that, which information, that is where, when, and how. So this is also called as effective presentation skills, So we have to develop the effective presentation skills for the purpose and the things that we have to do it. And that is where, the effective presentation skills plays an important role. And we all have to adopt this effective presentation skills with the proper utilization of tools and technology, because technology will add a flavor. Technology will always give some edge over all the tools that we are using it. So obviously, you all are advised to use the technology wisely. Sometimes people might have a discussion that, whether we should use it technology. Obviously, why not to use. Then they have a second thought that is the usage of technology is authentic, is the technological use is ethical. Obviously it is ethical, you know so technology is to help you out. Technology is to make your work easy. Technology is to make your work effective and presentable, right? So when you are going out in the market and when you have been compared with other players in the market, right? So that is where you have to stand out to be the best. And human cannot stand out to be the best without the supporting tool, right? If I'm asking my staff, right, or if I'm asking my subordinates that you have to give this kind of work, but if none of the organization or institute are not having those tools which are being utilized for developing the presentations and all other aspects that we have to see to it, then the purpose is not going to fulfill. So that is where the use of technology needs to be do it, and it should be done it in a very rigorous manner. And that is where we can make our work to be more effective and presentable in front of our target audience. And that is where the theme of the today's discussion is ICT and effective presentation skills. So that is where we have to discuss on this platform. Okay. So with that, I'll begin my presentation. So when we are talking about ICT and effective presentation skills, so I wanted to discuss that the higher education goal needs to be see to it. What is the goal of higher education, right? The goal of higher education in terms of primary and secondary goal. So when we talks about primary goal, so what is the primary goal, right? So primary goal means the base goal, without which we cannot survive, without which we cannot suffice into the market. And the first and foremost primary goal for any organization is to have the employability. That means you have to employ yourself, you have to get placed yourself, and you have to get the placements of yourself. That means you should at least get some employment immediately after your degree or whatsoever, wherever you are, putting yourself into the market. You should at least have your jobs in your hands, or, whatever startup or business that you want to start. That is where you should have some employment in your hands. That is where employability. Increase earning potential. So here we are discussing about increase earning potential in a sense that only employment is not sufficing the purpose, but increase earning potential means today you are getting placed, right? So obviously we as an individual always want that our tomorrow should always be better. So that is where we have to put ourselves in a manner that our earning should get increased. So that is where the increased earning potential is going to play a picture. That means what you are today will not be the tomorrow, right? But you should have some add-on for your tomorrows, right? That is where you have to think about the increased earning potential. You always have to increase your earnings, and to increase your earnings, we as an individual, we as an employee, we as a students, we as a faculty needs to create some edge over the skills and talents that they have to possess in whatsoever field in which they are, right? But we have to guide them in the development in this particular domain, right? So that is where increasing earning potential plays an important role, right? And everybody wants to grow it, right? Today you are executive, tomorrow you want to become manager, and day after tomorrow you want to become a CEO, right? So that is where you want to put yourself in a keep increasing mode. And that is where, if you want to do it, you need to have advanced knowledge. And advanced knowledge in today's era is not available in the reference book and textbooks. But the advanced knowledge in today's era is everywhere. Wherever you will see, there is a knowledge. There is something output that you can gain out of it, right? So that is where you can improve your knowledge. Either you can go for the Google search, you can go to official website, you can have the articles, you can have the newspapers, you can have the blogs, you can have the AI tools as well. So there are multiple domains through which you can improve your knowledge, and this kind of things can be possible with the proper and effective utilization of ICT tools. So that is where you have to advance your knowledge. And we also say that knowledge is not only power, but application of knowledge is also power, right? So that is where we have to think that only gaining a knowledge is not going to suffice the purpose, but at the same time, it should also have some idea where it is utilized and how it is going to be utilized. So that is where we have to be in touch with multiple peoples through the network building activity. And this kind of network building activity is happening in a tremendous manner on the social media. Right? Today, we are connected with each other through the Google Meet. It is one of the ICT tools which makes it possible to have this kind of knowledge sharing, faculty development program, workshop, conferences, and through which we can have the network building. So no conference and FDP should live out for any faculties, without network building activity, because networking is the biggest strength for this particular field in which you are. Either you are student or either you are faculties. So that is where it is going to play an important role. Wisdom, right? Courage, right? We should have a courage to utilize it. We should have a courage to accept the changes. And at the same time, when we are accepting the changes, we should incorporate those changes into real-time practices. And for that, we should put the rigorous efforts, to digest those things and make it into practice, right? So that is where it is wisdom. And this kind of things is always going to be, possible with always having your bird view, with always having your analysis, your observation through research and experimentation. So you always have to do the research and experimentation for all the works that we are doing it. So that is where research and experimentations plays an important role in achieving the primary goals of the education, right? So that is where research and experimentation needs to be adopted. So secondary goal, so if we need to achieve this primary goal, what secondary goals we need to adopt it? So these are the parameters that we being an individual, we being a faculty and students needs to do it. Faculty will help the students to do it and student has to adopt the things, right? And for that, you always have a spiritual growth. You should be strong. You should be strong in terms of psychological parameters. That is where you should have an inner feeling, inner strength, inner power that you need to develop. That yes, I can do it. So this secondary goal in terms of spiritual power needs to be developed by every faculties and mentors who are shaping the futures of the students. So that is where spiritual growth is required. Mental growth means keep learning, keep doing, keep experiencing, and keep gaining the things, and through which you should have some analysis, and you should mold your minds and perception into these directions. So that is where mental growth is also going to make an important places at this junction, right? So mental growth needs to be there. Engaging in questions, right? So you have to put yourself in engaging yourself in the questions. You always ask yourself the various kinds of questions, that what should we do it, why should we do it, how should we do it, when should we do it, if at all, if something opportunity is coming out or any problems which is coming out in terms of adoption of the technology, ICT tools, learning tools, analytical softwares, or whatever difficulties that we are facing, we should always ask ourselves, we should always talk to ourselves. And that is where even we can make ourselves to be more presentable in front of the market, right? So it is not only say helping us to solve our query in terms of technological parameter, but in terms of the psychological and presentable things that we have to do it in front of the audience, right? Facilitating better lifestyle. So if you are doing this particular things, right, and we are doing it with full of jest in terms of spiritual mental growth, and we always ask yourself, we always talk to ourselves. So that is where it always facilitating better lifestyle by finding the ways to do it, and that is where you will be able to touch up the test of success. So that is where it helps to facilitate better lifestyle. And And everywhere you have to develop the scientific outlook. You should not be dragged by, the information of someone. You should not be dragged by, or, influenced by some unwanted events or, parameters, but you should always have your own opinion and thoughts to proceed. And according to that, you have to behave, right? So this is what the secondary goals of higher education. That is what we have to work out. So three dimension of ICT tools when we talks about. So the first is creativity. You should always be creative, right? Creative means you should always try and test that what else you can do it, what is there in this particular tools, what is there in particular software. You should always explore it. So that is where this kind of attitude and behavior will always come out. When you have a creativity, you have to develop it. Sometimes you might have noticed that there are certain peoples in our college or our universities, and at our workplace, we assume that he is very creative, right? So his creative is not because, but his nature is like that. He always wants to try and test. He always wants to explore something new, and that is where the creativity can be created, right? The second parameter is competitiveness. Competitiveness means if market is running with AI tool, you cannot say today that I don't know what is AI tool. That is called competitiveness. You always have to stand out with the market. You cannot stand without the market. And that is where if you want to stay into the market, you always have to learn and adopt the changes which is happening into the market. If you are not adopting, you are putting yourself in trouble. And after some times, you are unused employees, you are unused assets for the organization, which nobody would likes to promote, which nobody would likes to retain, which nobody would likes to hire you, right? So that is when competitiveness should always be developed by utilizing and adopting all the ICT tools with their usage. And at the same time, we need to put yourself presentable in front of the audience, right? So that is where the three dimensions of ICT tools needs to be focused and followed. The third is collaboration. Obviously, any research or anything that you are doing into the market is always happening with the collaborative efforts. I'm not saying that you should be good in everything, but I'm saying that you should be good in at least one thing. If you are good in one thing, that is where you are creating your demand in the market, and that is where people need your services to have a collaboration. And that's why you also need the other people's services, because you are good in one thing or two things, but you are not good in everything. And obviously, it is justifiable things when you consider yourself that I'm good in one thing. That is your assets, and these assets will lead others to come in front of you, and let's have the collaborative efforts for some projects, for some assignments, for developing some events. And that is where we can have a synergy of knowledge. We have a synergy of exchange of the knowledge and technology, and that is where we can have the overall development of the students. So with this collaboration and integration of all these dimensions, we can have the harmony in the society. We are actually able to provide what actually the society is coming, and for which the society is paying us in terms of fees, and we are also serving their expectations, right? So that is where we are able to create the harmony in the society with the proper integration of all these parameters for the utilization of ICT tools. Now we are going to discuss about the types of ICT tools that we have it in the market. So YouTube is one of the ICT tools where we can have the videos of certain things, and we can go for this video, and we can have the knowledge of entire things, even the live demonstration. So I think you are all well versed about it. I don't want to discuss much. Wikipedia, wherein you have all the information in terms of the articles, historical backgrounds of the certain events or perspective, that you can always go for it, and you can always read it out, this particular types of ICT tools. Google Groups. So there are certain Google parameters which you have to see as a part of ICT tools. So one is Gmail, then you have a calendars, Google Drive, Google Groups, Google Contacts, Google Sheet, Google Form, right? So these are the different parameters that we have to try, and we need to apply, right? So that is where this kind of things is going to help you out. We know all these parameters, and we are almost well versed about the utilization of all these parameters. Google Form is to collect the responses. Google Sheet is for, when we have to work in Excel. So you have Excel sheet, you have a Word file to share. So what is the benefit of having this kind of tools into the practices? It makes our work easy. It makes our efforts to get reduced. And most importantly, it provides most convenience, without any barriers of locations. And you can sit at different location at single point of time, and multiple person can work out in the single file, and even the person can have the checks what has been happened and what has not been happened. So what has been added and what has been deleted. So this is kind of different checks that we have it through the Word files and all this aspect. So Google Docs, which I have told you, that you can share your documents, and you can have the sharing of this document, and the people can work out on this particular documents. Blocks, so different blocks, people are writing their blocks, they are sharing their knowledge. So you can always go through these blocks, and you can always have the knowledge sharings and all this aspect, right? So people are sharing their opinion on this blog. So if you want to get some knowledge on this particular topic, so the days are gone that people and students are going in front of the books, reference books, and library. I'm not saying that people are not going in library, but library also have turned their shapings, and it has turned from physical library to digital library, right? So digital library is a need of an hour in this today's world. Again, it is an invention and the requirement because of the ICT tools that has been flourishing in the today's market, right? So that is what we have to see this, and we have to act upon it. Clear? Right. Okay, then Google Maps. So I think it is well versed and all are using it, so I'm not discussing much on this. Right. So this is what the Google platforms that we have to use. Okay. SlideShare we have already utilized, and we as a faculties are more prone to use this Google Slides. It provides the presentations, that we are looking for any topics or any parameters. That is what for which we are using. We are finding the contents, subpoints, and the most important topic in this today's era, which is flourishing. So obviously we can utilize this SlideShare option. Okay, then what is the important source of information for us as a part of ICT tools? So Wikispace is one of them. Then Skype, right? You can connect through Skype and you can have a talks, but the days are gone when people are using Skype. But still, it was the part of an invention of the ICT tools. Dropbox, Facebook is a social media platform wherein you can always connect it, and we all are connected. So I'm not discussing much on this. So Twitter now is converted into, it is now X, right? So earlier it was Twitter. So where people can share their opinion, right, on any topic, then they are free to share their knowledge, and anybody across the world can have the access of this opinion, and they can also reply, they can also share, and they can also add their expert comments on this particular aspect. So that is where the Twitter. So wherein you can always be connected on this kind of social media platforms, and what is happening in the market, what is the opinion of the people in this market, so that you can always go through it. Clear? Then Digo is another platform wherein we have to see to it. SlideShare I have already covered up. Mozilla Firefox is a search engine, and Google Chrome is also the search engine wherein you can find out any topics that is you are looking for. Even you can have the various other ICT tools that you need to utilize, that is also available through Google and this kind of search engine. Like we are looking for AI tools for utilization and any other information which you find to be important, and informatic that you want to find it out. So you can always utilize this Google Chrome that is available for us. What is the role of ICT tools? So obviously it is a role. It was uh, you know it was a ray of hope in this pandemic, right? So when pandemic was going on, there was a question in the minds of people, and most importantly in the minds of parents, governments, and education institute, that how to make the education system to be again uninterrupted without having the effects of COVID-19. So that was a challenge, that physical education was not possible. So at that time, if ICT tool was not there, so I think the education industry is the industry which was suffered like anything. But fortunately, due to the invention of ICT and effective utilization of ICT within a short span of time at, at various countries across the globe, the education was possible uninterruptedly, and people have, uh, you know, uh, received maximum benefit. And due to the invention of ICT tool, education was the one of the sector which was less impacted due to COVID-19. Although it was a hope that if something is not going to happen, then this was the edu sector which is going to be affected mostly. But thanks to ICT tools, and ICT tool also made people to make it more presentable in terms of their content, and most importantly, the way of delivering the session. Because when you are sitting in front of ICT tools, people are watching your slides, people are watching your content, and most importantly, you don't have a control on their activities. You don't know whether people is attending your session, and if they have certain doubts on this particular presentation, and if you're speaking something, people will have an option, people will have a chance to search out those things. And if they found that this is not correct, right, so you will lose your market value, you lose the respect in the minds of students. So at no cost we can have, we can afford this kind of bluffing things in the market. That is where it was a ray of hope in this pandemic. So now it has become an integral part of today's teaching learning process, as the face-to-face interactions among the teachers and students was bit difficult. So countries over the globe are using the ICT tools for teaching learning process, for facilitating information and dissemination and communication in all the areas of teaching learning process, right? So now it is an integral part of teaching learning process, because without ICT tools, nobody can think about the teaching learning process, and it is an integral part of education system. What is the benefits of effective utilization of ICT tools, right? So if some organization or some faculty or some educational person, either it is organization or the faculty or mentor, if at all they are utilizing this kind of tools in an effective manner, so what are the benefit that the society as a whole will receive it? So it motivates the students. Why it motivates the students? Because student can save the time, students can save the efforts. Most importantly, they can have the comfortable sitting, and they can adjust themselves in a manner they want, right? So that is why the motivation of the students are going to be very high. So that is how it can motivate the students. Secondly, make the session more attentive and interesting, because you don't have to do any administrative and controllable things as a time when you are delivering the sessions to the students. So that is where the students are going to be more attentive, and they found your session to be more interesting, because there is no interruptions in between when the session is going on, because there is no other noise which is coming out in this process. So they can have more attentive and interesting, and if at all in between they found something is not gettable, they can ask the questions if it is allowed. And if they don't want to ask, they have multiple tools to identify the meanings of certain terminology, and they can easily get the answers for any of the terminologies that is missing. Re-energize teachers motivation, obviously, because it saves time, it saves efforts, and most importantly, you can have the productive interactions and session delivery with the utilization of ICT tools. You don't have to do much efforts, the screen will do your role, and you can have the enjoyable teaching learning process. From teachers perspective, you can teach, and from students perspective, they can learn. And that is where it has re-energized the teachers motivation, because students are more interested. uh, uh, you know that is where they can focus on more, and that is where the efforts can be saved, and quality content can be delivered with the utilization of ICT tools. And that makes it your presentable presentation skills to get improved, because you compulsory have to make a presentation and you have to present in front of your students. And that is how the teaching learning process is making possible. Learn new skills and techniques. So yes, obviously, We can have uninterrupted discussion on various things, right? Even if particular students have something to share, right? So technology is here. They can share the screen, and even you can observe the entire process very minutely by sitting at your places. And we are attending various research workshops, FTP, for various research analytical tools, wherein the screen has been shared, and we are learning the research tools. Whether it is SPSS, MO, Smart PLS, R programming, and God knows, right? So that is where the ICT tools also help us to providing the better platforms to learn new skills and techniques, and that is where we can sharpen our skills in terms of putting ourselves into the market. Help students to understand the concept clearly. ICT tools also helps the students to understand the concept clearly and precisely. Why? Because it gives the clarity of thoughts that you have to do this and you have to execute this. The students are very clear that what is their roles and responsibility and what they have to do and how they have to do. So that is where the clarity of concept is always going to come out. As far as the role of ICT tools is concerned. So that's why ICT tool was considered to be blessing in disguise at the time of COVID-19. From students' perspective, it was a mixed model of textbook and technology, right? Wherein they can have the best suitable platforms to learn, and it was tech friendly and most modernized tools in this new era. So that is where students was enjoying. It evolved as a platform for new learnings to sow in them seeds of creativity. So if at all you are learning something, and by that time you can have your split screen, and whatever you are learning on the screen, you can easily demonstrate practically with the utilization of ICT. So that is where the confidence level, the understanding, the development of skills that is happening in this kind of teaching learning process is commendable. So that is where it is blessing in disguise. It gives access to students to do any courses, like if you are going for any MOOC courses on the different platforms like Swayam and Coursera. So students can connect at any time, and they can have the learning with the best of faculties. And most importantly, it is a cost friendly. ICT tools are cost friendly. Why? Because you just need your laptop and the connectivity of the internet, and rest of the things will be done by the ICT tools. You can get ample amount of information even if you don't have the information. So if you want to search out the process, so processes are also available on YouTube's, wherein you can have the live demonstration of the process that you have learned in the class, and you can easily digest the concept and the process for which you are attending this particular session. Right. So that is what the outcomes of effective utilization of ICT tools. These tools are empowering them and helping them even in the time of epidemics to connect with fellow teachers virtually and to continue their teaching to reduce the loss of educations to children and improve the things further, right? So when the pandemic was there, that was the biggest challenge for all the education institute and the stakeholder of the education institute in terms of the faculties and management, that how to make this learning possible. At that time, the ICT tool came into the picture, and the uninterrupted teaching learning process was possible in a best, safetiest manner that was possible. So it fills the bridge a gap between those who have the access to a variety content. So earlier it was like that. If you are in the urban area, you have ample amount of content because you are in the good education institute wherein you have great library where you can have the multiple access of the books, and you are in the rural area, so you are not in hi-fi high-tech institute, so you don't have access of the library wherein you cannot have the multiple sets of books. But now these days are gone. The online is a best library. Even various portals are not in use now, because see, earlier Baiju was one of the ICT tools for the primary and secondary education system. But if you notice today, the Baiju has closed down. Why? Because whatever material they were providing, it was getting uploaded on various platforms, and day by day, gradually, when you go to Google search, the material of Baiju was available free of cost within a single search. Right. So what happens is people were not enrolling for the Baiju, and Baiju has to shut down their business. But what happens is those materials are accessible for everyone, irrespective whether you are staying in rural area, urban area, or you are in semi-urban area, right? It is applicable and open for all. So that is where it has helped the students and it has also helps the teachers. Now let's see what are the modern tools of ICT in teaching learning process of education. So these are the various platforms wherein students can enroll themselves, and they can learn the multiple concept, multiple tools, multiple parameters of the various concept, and they can enhance their skills and ability, and they can portray themselves to be better in terms of having multidisciplinary knowledge of the different concept. If they are from management and if they want to learn the commerce, if they want to learn arts, or if they want to learn some technical tools in terms of engineering and technology, so these are the platform which suffice and which serves the actual purpose to get enroll yourself and to develop your skills in terms of multidimensional. And to develop those kind of things, you should have to pursue some knowledge. And to pursue this knowledge, this kind of platforms are considering to be the best platforms to improve your knowledge. And best is Swayam, which is approved by Ministry of Education and the Government of India. Coursera is an international MOOC course platform wherein you can enroll yourself for various international university like Harvard University, Yale University, Chicago University. So the great professors who have developed certain concept, they have created those videos and they have shared their knowledge on this particular platform as well. So this is one of the international MOOC course platform. I hope you all are knowing about the full form of MOOC, massive open online courses. Harvard University is also providing their own MOOC courses depending upon the stream on which they are following. Baidu is out, but earlier it was providing the materials for the school students. IIM Bangalore is providing also providing some management MOOC courses, certificate courses, so wherein you can go and enroll yourself. And Google Digital Garage, so that is where Google was also providing and still it is providing. You can have the enrollment of the few MOOC courses which has been provided by the Google, and you can be certified by the Google for this kind of MOOC courses. IIT Madras, again, it is a technological online degree and diploma courses, and they're also providing some certificate courses on programming and data sciences. So if at all you are interested, you can always go for this kind of website and you can always put yourself to be enrolled. And this kind of great institute and great platforms of learning always carries the great weightage to put forward, and you can be portray yourself in the better educationalist by adopting and enhancing your skills, and that you can download to your students at your organization, for which you are getting paid, so that is what we have to see. Then if you want to take out some classes to be online, there are again certain tools that we can always utilize as a part of a teaching learning process. So this is the Zoom platform wherein you can connect your classes, again classing, right? So these are the various software to connect the classes, and you can always arrange the meetings, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Schoology, and the Big Blue Button. So these are the various platforms which you can always utilize to connect the classes. So Zoom, Classroom, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Schoology, and Big Blue Button. Online quiz, so you can go for Google Form, thinkexam.com, FlexiQuiz, testmos.com, Proforce Quiz Maker. So these are the quiz platforms wherein you can take out the quiz and the results are ready within single click. You can share with the students within 2 minutes, and students have their their evaluation in their hands. So this is also possible with the invention of ICT tools. ICT resources for education. So you need the screen, that is monitor. You need the projector in terms of hardware. You need your laptop or keyboards or something, and you need a software. So ICT tool is a combination of mainly two things: hardware and software, without which you cannot portray yourself to better utilizer of ICT tools. And if you are not using those tools, you cannot portray yourself to be a better presenter and better communicator in front of your target audience, because they should not have the acceptance power when other people have the great presentation of the concept and you are just coming without the presentable things. So obviously, psychologically, if something is not visible, the acceptance is not going to be right. If something is not audible and it is visible, again, acceptance is not visible. But if the combination of two things are there with, audible and visible. So obviously people will perceive some good things about you, and that is where you can portray yourself to be better one. Effective presentation skills, obviously very, very important when we are talking about ICT tools. So effective presentation. So what is the effective presentation means? It is a communication skills that needs to be adopted at various stage of speaking, right? Wherever you are talking in front of group, or as a boss or as a faculty, either you are taking a meetings of your colleagues, subordinates, or even with the students, you always have to be communicative or briefing to a team, right? So that is where the presentation skills does matters, and that is where it is expected that you should carry some good presentation skills that can be portrayed and that can be representable in front of your target audience, right? So it is always advisable that you should always carry the soft skills, with you, which have the effects in the minds of people, and you can always have the better presentation. So if you're talking about presentation skills, so what four parameters that we need to take into consideration? So firstly, the parameter is we need to plan the content, which content we need to add it, which content we are planning to put into practices, right? So that is where we have to plan those contents. So that is where you have to plan it, right? Different person have different perspective and different theories. So according to their perspective, they will select the parameters. Whatever parameters you are selecting, you should have some checklist, that this parameter is important and this parameter is not important, right? So that is where you have to prepare the checklist, and out of this, which you are finding to be not suitable, you have to remove it, and the content which you find to be important, you need to go ahead with that. And that is where you have to prepare the action plan. And once the action plan is ready with the correct and non-correct, then you have to put these things into practice, that whatever you have prepared, it actually comes into practice, right? So that is where you have to put the things into practice. And once you put the things into practice by adoption of these technical parameters and behavioral aspect, then this things is going to be presentable in front of the people, so that is where you can present these things in front of the people, right? So it is more presentable things in front of the people. What is planning? So planning means you have to decide 5W to H. So who is your audience, right? Either it is students, so you have to prepare like a mentor. If you are going to, lead the meeting to your subordinates, you have to decide your level, and accordingly you have to prepare. If you are, going to present in front of your boss, so you have to prepare accordingly. So your target audience does matters, and the content that you need to present in front of them. So you must have to decide that who is your target audience, because all the audience should not have the same content, and the same skills and same parameters. Depending upon the level of audience, you need to revise those things. So why are they there, right? So you need to decide that why this target audience is coming. You need to understand the purpose of your target audience, whether it is your boss. So are they coming for evaluating your skills? Are they coming for evaluating some projects which you are going to present, right? So it could be anything and everything, and that is what we need to decide, and accordingly we have to act upon it. We need to understand the goals, why you are presenting. So let's say somebody is calling you for interview, but if you are not going because you are not interested, so that is your goal, right? So you should always not go and present. But if you're going for it, obviously you need to understand that, either you want to appoint over there, or even if you're going for some company as an interview, so you want to hire yourself to be and to be placed at this particular company. So that is where you need to understand the goal of presentation. Even these presentations can be for the continuous relation, wherein we are taking the presentations of the students for the different subjects. And you also need to decide that how long this presentation should be. It should not be too long, it should not be too short, it should be to the point. And most importantly, we need to consider the human psychology in terms of their capacity to get focused on one particular presentation for continuous time period. So we always need to take care about the time frame for which this presentation has been prepared. And if this presentation needs to be carried out for a long period of time, you also need to take care about the other parameter like bio breaks and some key snacks in between, so that the people can come back and be focused on what you are going to say for the next few hours or few times. So that is what is your planning should be. and where it take place. Is it in hotels? Is it in boardrooms? Is it in conference room? Is it online? Is it at the employee's place? Right. So you need to decide where it is going to take place, and the place is going to be decided based on who is going to be the part of meeting, the purpose of the meeting, and the secrecy and privacy that needs to be keep in mind for this meeting. Right. So that is where this planning needs to be there. Prepare. So once you plan it, you need to prepare. So presentation should be in a proper structure. It should be prompt. It should not miss out anything. It should not be too lengthy. It should not be too short. It should be up to the mark. Whatever things is required, you need to understand this, and accordingly, we need to prepare. You should prepare the visual advertisements, right? What are the visual ads, that you need to take into consideration? So you cannot constantly speak out in your presentation. So you need to take some break with effective creation and message that you need to pass on to your target audience. So that is visual ads is the best tools that we can utilize. Your voice modulation should be very clear. You should not use so much aggressive, and you should not use so much tonguey tones, which is not gettable by the layman person or from the vernacular medium. So that is your voice modulation should always be there with the consideration of target audience, and that's why sometimes we are also asking to our student that are you comfortable in English, Hindi, or both, right? So that is where we need to see that comfortableness whenever we are delivering the session, right? Appearances very matters, because what personality that you are carrying, right? The students are perceive your personality, and based on that they are judging you. So your appearance is always going to matter. So your appearance should be always be proper and prompt. Style, you always have to carry the better style of making a presentation. It should not be too bold. It should not be too appealing. It should not be too clumsy, but it should be in a balanced approach, wherein people can have a better concentration with your hand movements and body languages. And lastly, you need to have a questions. If you have any questions, you can always ponder the question, and at the same time you should also allow the audience to ask the questions if they have it. So this is how the structure of the presentation. So you always have to have three part of the structure, that is introduction, main theme, and summary. Wherein in introduction, you try to grab the attention of the audience, and then after you reach to the main theme, that is where the main message or the purpose for this presentation, with contents which is related to the topics, right? It is relevant to the topics. So you have to decide the relevancy of the topic. That is where it is a main theme. Then after main theme, you need to reach out to the summary and conclusion, wherein you at least need to pass out the key message or the key outcomes that you are trying to portray in front of the people, right? So that is where the key message needs to be crafted. So prompt means it should be highly appealable, to the points, only keywords needs to be done. You know, put your entire prompt onto your PowerPoint slides, and these forms are for you, right? So that is what you need to convey to your students. Visual aids, we have already seen it, you know. So whenever you are creating visual aids or any PPTs, consider these points to be very effective as a part of effective presentation skills. Color combination in terms of the backgrounds and the graph and the fonts should always be matched in contrast, so that it should be visible to the last, and that is where people can perceive your presentation in a positive way. Not too much clumsy slides, not too much points you need to indulge. You just have to use the bullet points, and then you have to explain the entire presentation for the purpose that you are carrying it, but it should not be in a paragraphical way, right? And don't be overcrowd your slides, means not too much have bulky content, right? Otherwise it will not look a professional way, because if you are doing this kind of practices, there is no difference between the students and you, because if the copy and paste would be in the slide, so there is no meaning for preparing the slide. So don't be overcrowd these slides. New or different visual aids, if something new is something coming out which is matching to your title and the theme of the topic, you should always put these things into practices and wake people up. You should always wake up the people for doing this kind of stuff, right? So this is what we have to see to it. Okay. So this is what I wanted to convey from my side, right? I'm making this session open for question answer. If you have any questions, you can ask. Yeah, any questions? Any questions? Anything to share? Any opinion to share? You can share
Yeah,
your.
sir. Excuse me, sir. I'm Jamna Shri.
Hmm.
Sir, you shared about the quiz details. What are the quizzes available and how? What are the different type of technology in quizzes? You shared, right, sir? Can
Right, right.
you uh, again share that one, sir?
Malav, you want slides to share again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are the quiz platforms which you can utilize. Again, these are not only the platforms which you can use. You can use multiple platforms, but these are few of the platforms which I have deployed over here. Here, and the best is Google Form Quiz and Tesmos.com, according to my experience. Clear?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Any more questions further? Any questions? Any suggestions? Any opinion to share? Please let me know.
Are there any questions, anyone, or any doubts?
So I think no questions. So thank you so much, Research Foundation of India, Ajay sir, Saurabh sir, Asmi madam for coordinating today event, and most importantly, the lovely audience for patient listening. Thank you so much, all of you. Over to you, madam.